Hello and welcome to another episode of Week in Wrestling. I'm Luke Janisko.
Casey Church.
And Dee Harris here.
A lot going on. We took a little holiday break, so we got to cover some Roadblock and, of course, the Raw and Smackdown highlights of the shows. So I guess we get straight into it since we have so much to talk about. We'll start off with WWE Roadblock, End of the Line. I didn't forget it this time, Casey.
Hey.
But
They should have just called the show End of the Line. We already had a Roadblock.
Yeah, I was going to say
End of the Line is just a better name, period. Why do we have to have Roadblock in front of it?
I understood it when it was like in your house, whatever, because they were all in your house. But when you have a WWE Roadblock, it's a specific event.
Yep.
It's like saying WrestleMania, End of the Line. Like,
Yep.
we don't need that.
Redundant.
All right, we'll start off with Sheamus and Cesaro defeated The New Day to become the new WWE Tag Team Champions.
Okay. This just went to show that New Day breaking the record was a jab to Demolition the whole time. For them to, just lose the belt as soon as they broke that record, it kind of made sense because New Day, I felt, should have lost the belt at least a handful of times before then. Regain it, sure, but definitely shouldn't have been champion a long time. I'm glad they were, because that gimmick works, and them going from heel to face as champion, I thought was a good thing. But it definitely just went to show that, WWE, I mentioned it in the last show, we can't replace your legacy, but we can rewrite history in the case of a Demolition. And because of the whole lawsuit thing that's going on, that Demolition is a part of right now, it definitely goes to show that, Vince McMahon is nothing but a spiteful SOB, and he will hold grudges and will do his best to prove he's right in those grudges, as petty as those reasons may be. So it breaks my heart for Demolition. It breaks my heart for New Day, because they did work their hardest, at part of this reign to break that record. And we mentioned it last show as well, having to have 2 triple threat matches to break that record. But just kind of sad, more or less. I'm glad that Sheamus and Cesaro, with their kind of odd couple thing, is with them as champions, is working right now. But I'm not entirely sure they're going to be champions come WrestleMania season. This looks like it's just going to be a transitional kind of thing right now.
Well, all right. Well, with New Day, they're kind of somewhat of a conundrum. Because when I think about the New Day, with this reign going as long as it did, I feel like to not make it so obvious that, you're trying to spite Demolition, they should have just held on to the belts for at least one more month. You went this far, at least, the record's already broken.
Yeah, at least wait to the Rumble.
Don't make it so obvious.
Yeah.
The same week they break the record, you have them drop the belt. The same thing that happened with Nikki Bella. Because you're trying to spite AJ because she's married to CM Punk, and
oh, God, I forgot about that. Oh, my God.
That's ridiculous. If you don't want to make it obvious, just let them hold on to the belts. And me, I've soured on New Day. I'm not saying I dislike the New Day. It's just this has gone on. They've been champions way too long, and it made the rest of the tag team division suffer because they've beaten everyone.
Yeah.
So why should we believe any other tag team can beat them? They've even beaten Sheamus and Cesaro before.
Yeah, multiple times.
Yeah, but at the end, I mean, I got to make this point first before I say what I was going to say. If beating Demolition's record, or you didn't want Demolition's record to even be there in the first place, just don't draw attention to it. Just don't say anything about it.
It can be in the record books, but you don't have to bring it up on TV.
Yeah,
and it's not even the same title belt they're breaking a record with, so it's kind of like it's not broken anyway. That was for the World Tag Team titles that no longer exist. But in the end, as I was about to say, it's kind of cool that they're not the champions anymore. We can move on. We can build up new contenders. It's going to take a minute because, you see what happened to Anderson and Gallows. They kept going up against the New Day, and they kept getting beat, and they were put in bad segments with them because they're a comedy team.
Yep.
And we saw what happened with their perception and in the eyes of the fans and things like that. But hopefully something good comes out of Cesaro and Sheamus.
Well, something did come good. We got new Raw Tag Team belts.
Yes, and they look
thankful.
Like I was telling you on our last shows, they look way better in a different color.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
They're a lot more digestible.
Yeah.
And
I do like the silver on red. I thought blue on silver was pretty good.
Yes.
But this one I definitely like a lot more.
Yes.
Definitely. I was hesitant the first time I saw him, but, kind of like the Akron Rubber Ducks logo, another Akron reference here.
He's wearing a t-shirt, too.
It definitely, grew on me a lot better. So it took about 24 hours, and I was like, yes, I love these belts.
I must say, though, that the match was pretty solid. I loved the match, but the finish was awesome. That was a finish I'd never seen done before with the fake tag.
Yep. I thought that was perfect. See, going back to the New Day, I feel it's slightly demeaning in a sense to say, you're going to break this record, but we really didn't think you were that great to break the record. We just needed a team, so we're going to have you drop it the next pay-per-view after you've already gotten the record. So, same with Nikki Bella. I just feel like it's just kind of
petty,
heartbreaking. Yeah, like to be like, oh, I get to hold the title for this long because they think I'm good, and then you drop it, and it's like, oh, not really. They just needed a body to fill this slot so that people kind of forget.
And think about what it's like backstage, too, because obviously, all the superstars, they're reading the internet reports, they're reading the fan comments, and they have to know, at least in some point, even if they're not being told directly to their faces by Vince McMahon, Triple H, whoever, they have to know, some of these fans are probably right, because, they do follow the industry just as much as those that are in the industry. So, it definitely, it is heartbreaking. It is petty, but we got to move on. The tag team division on Raw, has been stagnant for a little while.
It's suffered. It's not even stagnant. It's suffered so bad because nobody can get a win. That means any other matches to determine like contenders and stuff like that, it means nothing because they're just going to lose to the New Day because during that whole period of time, they're just going to break the record anyway. So whoever they're facing, they're not going to beat them. We know they're going to hold on to the belts until at least December, and that's exactly what happened. The same week that they won they retained the belts and broke the record, they lose it days later.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's kind of I feel the New Day suffered almost as well, just because when they were heels and they were champions, they were looked at as almost main eventers. They were main eventing consistently, even against main event singles guys.
Yeah.
But then as soon as they became champions and were breaking this record, they were kind of pigeonholed in there. We're going to keep you away from everybody. You're secluded to the tag division, and because we want you to break this record, and that's all you're going to do at this moment. So they like Xavier Woods. I brought this up before. I think he'd be phenomenal in the cruiserweight division, but I felt he was kept away from the cruiserweight division because they were like, we need you in the tag division. Same with Kofi and Big E. They haven't done anything other than tag stuff. Well, you can still be in the New Day. I feel like they can kind of branch out and do singles things as well.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was going to say. You can keep the faction in check, but let them go off and do some singles matches. You don't have to be a tag team every single week. You don't have to utilize that Freebird role that they've rarely utilized. It was always, Big E and Kofi doing a majority of the matches with Xavier wasting his talents, playing cheerleader on the sideline, acting as a manager. So I definitely hope that, Xavier got a couple of matches in over the last couple of weeks, including on Raw. So hopefully, that gives him at least not necessarily a huge singles push, but at least gets him a couple singles matches and, get back in the ring and show us that he can still go.
Yep.
Yeah, this whole gimmick with the New Day has been pretty much a blessing for those three guys because Big E got lost in the shuffle after losing the Intercontinental title a couple years ago. Had no idea where he was going, what they're going to do with him. Then Kofi had been very up and down, a lot of start and stop pushes since 2009.
Air boom.
Yeah, that had something to do with it too. That's kind of Aaron Bourne's fault. We're not going to get into that again. And then Xavier Woods, he was sent back down to NXT after being called up.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he was doing nothing, and then he pops up on Raw, and now they have the gimmick started off a lot different than it turned out to be.
Yeah.
But they've all done the best work of their careers, and it'd be interesting to see where it goes now because I don't know why, but WWE likes to split up teams after they've lost belts. They used to do that a lot back in the day, but I'm glad they don't do it.
Okay, we're gonna move on because that's one of the things we're gonna talk about later.
All right, cool.
All right, tease. Okay.
All right, move on to Sami Zayn last 10 minutes against Braun Strowman. So technically, I guess you would say he won without actually winning.
The record technically says that he won.
He won. Okay.
To be honest, I didn't care about this match. The promotion going into it was kind of interesting. I'll give it credit, but yeah, honestly, the match itself was kind of a chore to watch because it was just Zayn getting short bursts of offense, then Strowman destroying him and not going for the pin a lot of the times, or Sami kicking out of surefire things. I like where it's going, turning Strowman into Raw's monster heel as evidence from Monday Night Raw. Not sure where it's going to go from here. Obviously, they're going to have another match with Sami Zayn and Strowman. Zayn will probably pick up a pinfall win eventually. But to be honest, I didn't care about this match going into the show, and watching it, I didn't care about the match, actually watching the match. So this one was just kind of thumbs down, don't really care, and to have that match end in a draw, which, granted, still makes Strowman look strong because he wasn't pinned, and makes Zayn look resilient because he wasn't pinned either. I guess it makes sense storytelling-wise, but to be honest, just sitting through it, I was just kind of bored throughout. I was like, big guy beating up a smaller guy. Like, we don't see that in 100 job matches every single week, so... this was just a extended job match that ended in a draw. So something different, but at the same time, meh. Just meh.
Man, these two do not need to be in the storyline together. I really believe that, because you're just making Sami Zayn look weak. For the simple fact that, okay, I'm the general manager, and I'm gonna come out every week on the show that you're on and you wrestle for. I'm your boss, and I'm not going to let you fight this guy because I don't think you can win. Why have me on your show?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. So then he finally gives him the match. Not going to be a normal match because I still don't think you can beat him, so I just want to see if you can survive for 10 minutes. It's freaking stupid. If you want to do something with Sami Zayn, if you have nothing for this guy to do, he's been lost in the shuffle, in my opinion. Because this storyline is not to elevate Sami Zayn at all. It's to elevate Braun Strowman. Let's get that clear. If you want since Battleground, when he beat Kevin Owens, they've had nothing for him to do. I don't know why. And that was supposed to be their last encounter. And they've had him lose to Kevin Owens like 2 more times.
You're supposed to forget about that, D.
Yeah.
Jedi mind trick, you know how this stuff works. You're right. Yeah, when Kevin Owens won the Universal title, I thought for sure Sami Zayn was going to get thrown in there. I thought he was going to win a number 1 contender shot, or win Money in the Bank, and do something in regards to fighting Kevin Owens for the Universal Championship. Because that was a fantastic feud in NXT that was quickened due to Zayn's injury. You saw Owens get that big push when he first came up, got that clean win over John Cena. He's the Universal Champion right now. Sami Zayn should be in that title picture right now, and it would be a huge benefit for the both of them.
Yes.
To, they're best friends, they train together, wrestle together. They have great chemistry, both heel as a face. You can finish telling that story you started in NXT for a bigger championship. I just don't know why they haven't done it yet. It seems like all the pieces are there. It's 2 big giant puzzle pieces that just need to be joined together, and they haven't done it yet. It gives both guys something to do, but it's an easy storyline to write, especially since the long-term plans with the Universal title were hampered immediately with Finn Balor's injury.
Yeah, and those plans have been up in the air ever since, because we still don't know what's going to really happen with that championship. But this is my thing. Like I said, it was supposed to be Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens' last match. Kevin Owens wound up beating Sami Zayn twice since then. So that negated that awesome match where he finally beat Kevin Owens. Yeah. Finally. Now, there's been nothing done with Sami Zayn consistently since then. Now, I'm bringing up this Sami Zayn's Wikipedia page on my phone because I want to get his weight. He's currently listed at 212 pounds. We just got Neville added to the Cruiserweight division because they were doing nothing with him, and now he's seemingly flourishing in the Cruiserweight division. Now, Sami Zayn could lose a little bit of weight. They probably won't. They could just probably say he's 205 pounds.
And be done.
Put him in the cruiserweight division. Make it a bigger thing.
Yeah.
Give him something to do. You're wasting his talent.
Yeah, because they need some main stars in the cruiserweight division to make it credible.
No, one of the things that's really hampered the cruiserweight division, besides them, over the last few weeks, I've been noticing that they've been toned down a lot.
Yeah.
But
we're gonna get into that. I got something to say about that.
But the thing is, nobody we probably know who a lot of these guys are because we're wrestling heads. We see this stuff. But the casual fan, they don't know who Rich Swann is. They don't know who. But the casual fan don't know who Brian Kendrick is. But a lot of these guys don't. They don't know who T.J. Perkins is. These guys, they don't know who these guys are.
Yeah, unless that casual fan has a subscription to WWE Network and watched how many hours of the Cruiserweight Classic there was. They're not going to know who these guys are, and it's not like the Cruiserweight Classic went too in depth in the backstories anyway. To be honest, I thought Daivari was the same Daivari that we saw years prior,
years ago,
and just going by a different first name, and find out that it's actually his younger brother by just a few years. So they really didn't let you know that until it was convenient for them. I found out by just like a backstage get to know the superstars interview on the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So they've really dropped the ball in terms of storytelling, and that's only one of the issues I have with the Cruiserweight division, but I'm going to save that for later in the show. We're going to get there.
So basically, Braun Strowman, Sami Zayn, fuck this match. Let's move on.
Well, going to Sami Zayn, I feel like this match may have been more effective prior to Survivor Series because of the showing Braun Strowman had at Survivor Series, where it kind of established him as more of a credible monster. And I feel that was a turning point with the reactions that he's getting. So I feel like even though people were supposed to be on Sami Zayn's side, they still wanted to see Braun Strowman destroy. So it was kind of, we're more on Braun Strowman's side than we are on Sami Zayn. So I feel like they didn't pull it off effectively because of that dynamic.
To be honest, it's kind of just looking at Strowman. Yeah, he's a big guy, big tough guy. It's kind of hard for me to believe him as this evil monster when every time he shows up, they zoom almost directly onto that Superman tattoo he has on his arm.
Yes.
You're kind of humanizing the monster just by having him. You can't just give him a sleeve.
He also has a tattoo that says "Country Strong" under his armpit every time he raises his arm.
Okay, I can understand that because, his original gimmick was just another, Bayou hick from, the Wyatt family. But, just... at least CM Punk could get away with a giant Pepsi tattoo on his arm.
Yeah.
You can't have a giant monster, throwing, a Christmas tree at other people.
Yeah, it ruins mystique.
It just humanizes them. It's one of the reasons why Ultimate Warrior was not from Des Moines, Iowa, but from parts unknown. Because that way, you're humanizing the guy at that point. So, yeah... I know we'll probably get into Strowman later on, but yeah, this match was just a chore to watch. I know what they're trying to do with this match, and it's apparently working well enough, but just overall, the match was just not fun to watch.
Those two just need to be separated now. To me, it's already worn out. It's welcome.
All right, we'll move on to Seth Rollins defeats Chris Jericho.
Standard match, nothing really too special.
Yeah, I mean...
It's the same match we saw on Raw, last month.
Yeah, that we've
same
been
exact
saying.
match.
Yeah. Yeah, the only difference is, Jericho comes out with a different scarf. I mean, that's about it.
There was really no...
I'm glad Rollins got the win. I'm glad that, he's still in technically that main event scene because of the Kevin Owens and Jarrett show kind of thing that they're still doing right now.
Yeah.
I would imagine that if it isn't Roman, it's going to be Rollins or even both come main event scene, come WrestleMania for the Universal title. So I'm glad that they didn't try to hamper that credibility going into it with Rollins losing. But again, this was just, this whole show, and we'll get into this. It just felt like a 3-hour Monday Night Raw without commercials.
Yep.
That you had to pay $9.99 for to watch on the network. And I get the mentality of that because they want content on the network. They're not charging you that much for it. It's not like you put down, $30-$40 for a pay-per-view to be disappointed by a Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
You get what you pay for. So in that case, it's almost brilliant. But if you want people to really appreciate these, brand exclusive pay-per-views or specials on the network, you're going to have to make them feel just a little bit more special than that to make us feel like we're getting our money's worth, because just an on-demand library right now isn't doing it, at least for me.
Yeah.
I feel like if you just wanted to have the specials on, or just want to pay for the specials separately, it should be like $3.99.
Yeah.
If you wanted just that, or if you wanted just the scheduled 24-hour network itself.
Yeah.
Without the on-demand stuff. I don't feel, not to say that I don't feel like I'm getting my money's worth for the network, but you need to make these special events special, especially if you're still going to be charging pay-per-view money for tickets.
Yes. Yep. Because it's like, especially brushing up on this kind of stuff before we record, it's hard for me to differentiate. Did that happen on a pay-per-view or did it happen on Raw? Because it's like the same thing almost.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit longer. So
yeah, just a little bit longer. Barely any commercials aside for like a 30-second Doritos spot or whatever the sponsor is that week. And that's it, But basically, you're paying for an episode of Monday Night Raw, which, again, I see the point in that. You get what you pay for, but you just, at least at the very beginning, to really justify these brand exclusive specials, you really just need to just jazz it up a little bit, change the set some so it doesn't look like, the Raw and SmackDown logos every single week with just a different logo on it. Bring in a different announcer, bring in like Daniel Bryan or someone who's done a little bit of announcing in the past but isn't a weekly guy.
Yeah.
Have a guest GM actually run the pay-per-view, something like that. Give us a reason why we should watch this rather than just hear about it online.
And then fast forward through most of the
exactly. I mean, that's another thing, too. I mean, the specials are live, sure, but they're on demand almost immediately after they end. Like, I remember WrestleMania 31. I mean, you could watch that on demand almost, 20 minutes after that show ended, and they started airing it immediately after anyway on the live network. So again, you get what you pay for, but I'm hoping the Royal Rumble feels a lot more special simply because it is a Big Four show. I'm hoping the next SmackDown show, whatever that is called, I don't even remember.
I'm not sure which the pay-per-view
but
like.
It's obviously going to be a SmackDown show next. I don't see them doing two Raw shows back to back, but I just hope that they just make this feel a little bit more special. SmackDown's going to have an advantage because they're a 2-hour show and the special's going to be 3 hours. So they have a little bit of advantage there. But 3 hours of Raw is slog enough on the USA Network. Just taking out the commercials to do, whatever you're doing, just calling it a pay-per-view, it isn't working right now. And they just need... just make the matches feel special. Have longer matches. Don't, have these 10-minute, seemingly job matches going on, Have more matches. Make it feel special. They're just not doing that right now.
Yeah, it's like if you insist on having this many pay-per-views, then you got to put the effort that you put in your Big Four into the smaller ones as well, just so that people will watch. We'll move on to Rich Swann defeats TJ Perkins.
Here we go, Casey.
And the Brian Kendrick to retain the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. And then afterward, Neville returns and attacks Rich Swann.
Okay, before you go on your rant, Casey.
Please go, because this is going to be a while.
I need to say this. This match, clearly because Rich Swann has beaten them both, the Brian Kendrick and TJ Perkins. He's beaten them both in recent weeks on 205 Live or Raw. I don't remember which. That's probably part of the problem. But he's beaten them both, and he just won this match 6 minutes. This match went 6 minutes. This match was clearly not important and served as nothing more than a vehicle for Neville's return.
Yeah, and that's
all it was.
I'm gonna bring up one thing that's technically a Raw highlight, but I'm gonna just group it into here real quick, just because I think we're gonna run into it so much.
We always do.
All right. So in addition, Neville defeats Rich Swann on 205 Live, seemingly making him the number one contender for the Cruiserweight Championship. Is Neville the superstar needed to kickstart the Cruiserweight division?
Yes. But he can really only do that by being a heel champion. And I expect him to win the championship. I don't know when. Could be at the Rumble. But they need to have... No matter what they do, though, they can't be having 6-minute matches. That can't work.
Apparently, I'm the only person on planet Earth that doesn't like Neville as a heel. He has the look as a heel, but you can't have a high flyer like this be a heel. And let me explain why. The red arrow, and I'm going to talk about this in the car.
Yeah.
The red arrow that Neville hit on Monday Night Raw on Rich Swann was perfect. I'm talking beautiful. I marked out when I saw that because he did the flips perfectly. He landed right on the center of Rich Swann, got up immediately, didn't look like it hurt him or knocked the wind out of him or anything like that, and made Neville look strong, Swann look hurt, and it was beautiful. Everyone in that arena cheered for the heel.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the problems that the Cruiserweight division is going to have, because they want these high-flying guys, whereas the Cruiserweights in WCW, that this Cruiserweight division is allegedly, the resurrection of, supposedly, air quotes, quote-unquote, they were the best shows on the card a majority of the time because of their technical prowess. I mean, in today's world, you wouldn't look at Eddie Guerrero or Dean Malenko as cruiserweights.
Yeah.
But they were constant cruiserweight champions because of, one, they were smaller guys on a big stage, and two, because they weren't necessarily doing high-flying bumps all the time. They were actually getting down on the ring and wrestling. And I think WWE thinks that cruiserweight automatically means lucha libre, high flying, ladder spots. Just go out there and, put your bodies on the line just for entertainment purposes. And it's not working. It's not. It hasn't worked since the Cruiserweight Classic, because the Cruiserweight Classic was lightning in a bottle. I honestly wasn't expecting them to bring back the Cruiserweights as a full-time division until they started airing the vignettes on, Monday Night Raw.
I knew they were going to have to do something because they didn't have really anything to fill that third hour Raw with.
Yeah.
And it still dragged.
Essentially, the Cruiserweight division today is what the Divas division was. It's the piss break. It's what you do to just break out the monotony and all that. And the purple ropes aren't helping. The changing the set to purple and having Cruiserweight be on every single Videotron isn't helping. And I want you to do something. This is the one thing that I wanted you to do. I want you to go on your internet browser. Go to WWEshop.com.
Okay.
We'll wait.
He's bringing this up.
Hopefully you can hear me typing.
he's typing.
Go to title belts.
The Cruiserweight Championship is on sale, I think.
All right. Do you see the Universal Championship?
Yes.
Do you see the Raw Tag Team Championships? They came out with those immediately.
Yes.
Do you see the SmackDown Women's Championship?
I do.
Do you see the SmackDown Tag Team Championships?
I do.
Do you see the Cruiserweight Championship anywhere on that site? Bonus points if you can find me the original WWE Cruiserweight Championship anywhere on that site. Go on, we'll wait.
I'm looking too on the
Is it really
title.
not on here?
It's not on there.
Why isn't that?
It is not on there. And this just shows that WWE doesn't give a flying fuck about the Cruiserweights right now. They just needed something to fill time on Raw. They saw that the Cruiserweight Classic was a good way to get these quote-unquote unsigned talents, these internet darlings, some mainstream exposure. Cherry pick the ones that they look like they can turn to WWE superstars that can toe the WWE corporate line and fill time to basically be the new Divas division on Raw. The Cruiserweight division is an absolute disgrace to not only the original WCW Cruiserweight division that helped revolutionize and showed my love of pro wrestling, but the original Cruiserweight division that replaced the light heavyweight division on SmackDown after the original brand split. That's one of the reasons why SmackDown was the better show for years during the original brand split. You can get the yellow Intercontinental title that Ultimate Warrior had on WWEshop.com. You can get an NWO spray painted WCW championship on WWEshop.com. You can still get the fucking Divas championship with that ugly ass butterfly belt on WWEshop.com. The Cruiserweight title is nowhere on that site, and
neither one of them are. And I thought I saw both of them on here recently, but they're nowhere to be found.
It is an absolute disgrace, and The storytelling isn't helping because they're not telling any of the stories on Monday Night Raw. 205 Live isn't helping because, let's be honest, you're showing that after SmackDown when the crowd is about as dead as you can possibly be, trying to tell other stories that they necessarily don't care about after a quote-unquote main event world title match on SmackDown. WWE, what the hell are you thinking? This is a decent idea, but I think you saw that lightning got caught in the bottle with the Cruiserweight Classic and decided to just put all your cards on the table all at once, and it just completely... No one's buying your bluff at this point. It's an absolute tragedy, and TJ Perkins, Brian Kendrick, Rich Strong, Neville, Daivari, the entire Cruiserweight division that signed on after the Classic are being completely misused and underutilized. And I hope to God that this UK Championship that they're going to have in January doesn't go the same way, because it's the exact same thing. Unsigned talent from the UK being in a tournament to crown a UK champion. Decent idea on paper. The belt looks fine, but it just doesn't. Just don't do the same thing. Don't give them like a 205 Live-esque UK show, which apparently is what they want to do.
It'd be insane if they did. I don't understand the I understand the concept of cruiserweights, but other than that, no.
Okay, I want to think this is Triple H trying a bunch of different ideas, throwing at the wall, seeing what sticks, but it's just not working. You can't recreate NXT this way, which I think is what they want to do. Yeah. They want to recreate NXT on the main roster, and 205 Live, it's not going to work, because Cruiserweight Classic worked fine, simply because it was at Full Sail.
Yeah.
Smaller arena, more intimate crowds, ones who absolutely love pro wrestling. You take it to Monday Night Raw, you have casual fans and those who are just coming with their kids. It's just, you're not going to get that same kind of reaction that you got with the Cruiserweight Classic. And I think that's their problem.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons why they shoved 205 Live out as quickly as they did, because, they're thinking, now, if we just give them a Cruiserweight-only show, surely they'll love it. Not if it's right after SmackDown.
Yeah.
Like, maybe if they moved it to 7 o'clock when it's the first thing, it's the thing to get the crowd on their feet and ready to go, and then have SmackDown on USA, then it would work, but not afterwards. It's just not working to their advantage at this point, and the Cruiserweights, I feel so bad for them, because they are essentially the new divas of the WWE right now. It's the piss break. It's the one where you just use the bathroom or change the channel to see what else is on. You get on your phone, you get on your computer, watch a YouTube video, and by the time it's done, you're able to move on to the rest of the show. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's terrible, and I almost wish the Cruiserweight Classic never actually happened, simply because I hate a division of wrestling that made me a fan in the first place be dragged down like this.
Well, damn, Casey.
Tell us how you really feel.
Okay, Triple H, you're an idiot for bringing back the Cruiserweights. There, how about that?
I think it was a great idea, because I was actually pretty excited when I saw some of the names on there. Like, I knew TJ Perkins was, he was freaking manic/suicide, like the third suicide in TNA.
Yeah.
That's a whole complete other story. If you guys look it up, it was 3 people as that character. But
I still have that game, by the way.
Throw it away, burn it. I don't. Just please.
I have the Wii version too. That's even worse.
Jeez, man, you're not allowed to rant anymore. You still have that game. Like, I knew T.J. Perkins was. Everybody remembers the Brian Kendrick or Brian Kendrick. I still don't really know which one they're calling him. I had never heard of Rich Swann before I saw him in NXT earlier in the year, before any of this cruiserweight business started happening. Who else was in there that I heard of? Never heard of Daivari, Kota Ibushi, of course, but a lot of these other guys, like I said before, that's the problem. Nobody knows who they are. But if you let them go out there and tear the house down every week, nobody's gonna care. It's like, oh my gosh, these guys are having awesome matches. Who cares who this guy is? I'm gonna get invested. I'm gonna get invested afterwards and find out who this guy was, because what I just saw was awesome. I mean, that's how I became a fan of AJ Styles. I had never heard of or seen this guy before, and I saw him on something. It wasn't even TNA. It was something called WWA or something like that, or I don't remember it, but it was back in like 2002. He was facing D'Lo Brown of all people, and I saw like this guy is performing like he was performing out of his mind. Yeah. Then I looked up who he was. Oh, his name is AJ Styles, that and the third. And then I found out about Christopher Daniels. And I found out about Kazarian and the rest of these guys. Then TNA came along.
Right.
Yep.
I credit TNA and the X Division for saving my love of pro wrestling in 2005. Because that was, after the brand split, WWE essentially had a monopoly on the whole wrestling business. And the X Division is essentially, a modified cruiserweight division. Granted, they don't have a weight limit or didn't at that time.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a good balance of high flyers and ground and pound style of wrestling. It was perfect. I mean, look at, AJ versus Samoa Joe back in the X Division days, feuding over the X title. You would never consider, Samoa Joe a quote-unquote cruiserweight, but they had phenomenal matches where both of them were high-flying and both of them were doing ground and pound stuff.
X Division was about no limits cases, yes. Not weight limits. Come on.
Yes, and you going with what Dee said, you can't get invested in what stories they're telling on cruiserweight matches on Raw because they don't get a chance. All Michael Cole does, just read off the moves. Corey Graves and Byron Saxton bicker a little bit. The match ends before you even realize it started. Then they have to kill time with another backstage promo where they change the ring ropes, and then back to the main storylines. It's absolutely maddening because you're going to be wasting 20 minutes because you're going to have a backstage promo leading into it while they change the ropes, the match itself, which will be lucky if it is 6 minutes, and then another 20-something minute backstage promo again while they change the ropes again. It makes no sense! I get that you want to expand the horizons for the amount of wrestling that you have. That's what the network is for. But it just doesn't work this way. If the Cruiserweight Classic and 205 Live and the division itself was on after NXT, like it was a thing that they filmed along with NXT at Full Sail, it would work wonders. And then when those guys were eventually called up, sure, you don't have a Cruiserweight Championship, but it definitely will still get the job done because we know who these guys are, and they're still able to tell the same kind of stories that they're able to tell in NXT and 205. But the way the Cruiserweight division is structured now, it would not surprise me if they killed it off within the year. It just absolutely is mind-boggling how underutilized these talents are and how botched this resurrection of the division has been since.
They need to just take a cue from what WCW did instead of, and you can even still do the interview segment at the top of the show or the promo segment, which I'm not a fan of because you start every show off with that, it gets pretty old really fast. But even if you did that, the first match should be a cruiserweight match, a nice lengthy cruiserweight match, yeah. at least 10 minutes. And then you put them on again at the top of the hour.
Yeah.
And then you put them on again with some sort of segment. I don't know. Maybe integrate them with other storylines a little bit. Just so the show doesn't drag. But they have to be on twice. They've been putting them on twice, but they've been in a bad spot. And they've pretty much been in dead spots of the show where nobody cares.
Yeah, exactly. It comes on before the main event and sometime within the first hour of Raw. And you only know it's a cruiserweight match because they keep saying the word cruiserweight and the ropes are purple.
First of all, they can leave the ropes alone.
Please, God.
You can do the graphics. I'm not a fan. I'm not opposed to presentation because I am kind of glad they're keeping these guys away from the rest of the roster because I don't want any of these guys getting buried.
Being fed.
Yeah, because, indie guy who's small, we're going to feed you to Braun Strowman. It'll be the same thing again. We don't need that to happen.
Yeah.
And I mean, some of them are starting to get personalities. Like, I see what they're doing with Cedric Alexander. I'm not really a fan of it because I was also a fan of Noam Dar before he opened his mouth. And it's not it's not because of and it's not even because of his accent or the way he talks. It's how he delivers what he's doing. He's not believable at all.
And I feel like when they want to tell stories, they're designating all the lengthy parts of the stories toward 205 Live, where most of the audience isn't even seeing it because it's strictly on the network.
Yeah, and like I said, the crowd is dead tired after a SmackDown.
That needs to be recorded. So. That show needs to be recorded after, and it doesn't need to be live. The show needs to be either recorded after Raw Actually, because Raw's too long and nobody's going to sit there again. So I take that back. It needs to be recorded before Raw or before SmackDown.
I think before SmackDown, and we can still do it live. Just it'd be on the network at 7 because people can check it out if they want to. But it should be like more of a to warm up the crowd while it's hot, because like
people are already leaving. You ever try to leave a wrestling show?
Yeah, they want to leave,
and it's late. And I know. Well, here in Cleveland anyway.
Oh yeah,
it's late. It's hard getting out of that arena. Whether you're driving or getting picked up.
I went to Survivor Series back in 2004. We left after the main event, and Howard Finkel said, "Thanks for coming by," essentially, and we were stuck, downtown Cleveland for about an hour and a half trying to get out of the parking lot, trying to, get down the streets, trying to get back to the highway, because it is maddening. You ever go to a Cavs game, and it's even worse.
Oh, my gosh.
So, yeah, it's definitely a problem, and look, I love the Cruiserweight idea. I love the idea of bringing the division back, But the execution so far has been so terribly botched. These talents are being wasted, and the fact that you keep hyping up the Cruiserweights as something special, that's something that's must-see, but you can't even put a replica belt on your website to buy. It's just absolutely galling. It just shows how much WWE actually cares. It's like, the Divas division. It's like, it's like the Divas Revolution. It's like you just shove them up on the stage like, this is what you want, right? Our job's done. Have a good day. It's just absolutely maddening that, something that literally, and I said this before, I'll say it again, literally made me the wrestling fan I am today has been delegated to being the piss break of the show. I just don't understand why they've done this so badly.
Yeah, and like you said about Neville, it's the same when we had given out awards. It's the same concept I have for AJ Styles, where he hasn't really toned down his style being a heel. He still does the same exact things. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to boo a guy that does a springboard 450 through a table.
It's the Steen effect. Remember Steen's heel turns in WCW and TNA? He never learned how to act as a heel, so he was doing the exact same, Steiner death drops, Steiner splash, Scorpion death locks.
That's why I think like guys like Jamie Noble did great as a heel in the division because they were more mat-based. Same with Chris Jericho in WCW. He worked well as a heel because he wasn't as high-flying as the other guys. Sure, he did some high-flying offensive stuff, but it wasn't like to Psychosis or Juventud or anything like that.
He also had 1,004 holds.
He did, and he had a list. And he has a list still in 2016. It's a different one. But we'll move on. Charlotte defeats Sasha Banks in an Iron Man match to become the new WWE Raw Women's Champion.
Am I the only one that had a problem with them keep calling it an Iron Man match when in NXT, when they did the exact same thing, it was an Iron Woman match?
No, they still call it an Iron Man. They made references to it being Iron Woman, but the premise of the match, regardless of who's in it, it could have been 2 grizzly bears. It's still an Iron Man match. That's what the match is called. So, but once again, it's what I've been saying. Every time Charlotte's at a pay-per-view, it's always a great match, especially with these two. But once again, the wrong person won, and I'm not just saying that because I like Sasha Banks. I was a fan of Charlotte way before I was a fan of Sasha because it was at one point in NXT I just didn't like Sasha at all. But this match went well, and I'm sorry, I'm going to jump over you guys real quick and get to the finish because this is what I really had a problem with. First of all, they made Sasha as champion look very, very, very weak, tapping out when she had already held on in the hold for like 30 seconds, then tapping out with 2 seconds on the clock.
Yep.
Not only that, when they went into sudden death overtime, they had her tap out again.
Yeah.
So they made her give up twice. Now, if she was gonna lose, especially she got bloody. She was pretty bloody. I
pretty
think,
beat up.
Yeah, because I think she accidentally got kicked in the face by Charlotte when they were doing some type of maneuvering around on the mat. But if she was gonna lose, you could have had her pass out. And I kind of wouldn't even want her to pass out for a simple fact. It would have been still to the same hold. You're going to have her pass out. You're going to have her give up twice to the figure 4. So they could have had her just get pinned again from something. She could have just been pinned, or she could have passed out from something else, or I don't know. But she shouldn't have gave up twice like that. And I heard it was a Vince McMahon call.
Of course it was. Why wouldn't it
when
be?
she tapped out, with basically you can even see her look at the clock and see how much time is left, and then tap out.
Yeah,
I mean, because and all right, I'm going to look at this from a fighting perspective because I've been in tournaments and I'm a martial artist. If you hold out for 30 seconds already, and you can only and there's 2 more seconds to go. Just bear with it. You don't give up. Come on.
It's 2 seconds.
It's 2 seconds.
2 goddamn seconds.
So that made Sasha look weak. It made her look stupid.
Yep.
Like, you just could have held out and you would have won the match. Mm-hmm. Now, if they wanted to do it a different way, they should have had Charlotte be the one. No, they should have had Sasha. They should have had Sasha be the one that was up 2-1.
Yeah.
And just change that dynamic around a little bit, so when she did give up, they wouldn't have to rush it to be within the last 2 seconds of that fall before sudden death, because Charlotte was the one playing catch up. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Especially if you're just going to give her the match the way they messed up the match and the wrong person won, and so much for that Sasha heel turn, because
right.
That boss character works a lot better as a heel. We saw that in NXT, and everybody's. I think we can all say it now that we're pretty much getting tired of Charlotte holding that belt.
Yes,
it's a little bit overdone. Yes, she's lost it, but she's lost it to Sasha and gotten it right back. And Sasha hasn't had any real momentum as a champion because she always loses it right back.
Yeah.
I mean, even after when she won the title, when she won her women's title the very first time, they had her come out the next week on Raw, and Charlotte beat her in a tag match and pinned her. So she hasn't had any momentum as a champion. They should have had her win the match, get a little bit cocky, and put her in that program with Bayley, and we could have saw that at WrestleMania. We could have done something else. Like, I don't know. People have been talking about they want to see Nia Jax and Charlotte get in the match. They could have done something else with Charlotte. She didn't need to be the champion again.
I agree with all your points. The only thing I'm going to disagree with is I think I like Charlotte winning the match a little bit more than Sasha, because I think if you move Sasha to a small intermediate program with Nia Jax, she can fight her way back to the title scene and win the title back at WrestleMania, heel or face, and be able to go long term from there. So I like what they're doing with this. I like the match, didn't like the ending for obvious reasons that you just mentioned, but this is exactly what I meant by these pay-per-view specials on the network need something special. And an Iron Man match, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever, is definitely something that they need to utilize a little bit more. Not necessarily that you need to fill it with gimmick matches like this. You don't need like a TLC match every other show or anything like that, but something that you don't see every day.
Especially with a long-standing feud like this one.
Yeah, something that you don't see every day. You don't see on Raw. You don't see on Smackdown. You only see rarely on special occasions on pay-per-views. Something like this on, these special shows, these pay-per-views that don't feel throwaway, definitely do help. So I definitely liked it for that aspect. But personally, I was rooting for Charlotte because I felt that her getting the title back was better for both, simply from a long-term story standpoint. But I hated the finish. I felt that, you're going to have these women wrestlers, put it all out there for 30 freaking minutes, and you're going to end it like that. Definitely hurts both brands, in my opinion. But personally, I'm glad Charlotte re-won the title, simply because I think I know where they're going with this leading into WrestleMania season, and I think it's actually best for the title. So
yeah, for me, I was not a fan of the ending. I don't know if they're going with this whole Sasha can't beat Charlotte at pay-per-views, and then maybe at WrestleMania she's
the word is that they're done. They're
done?
They're
okay.
done with this.
Because that's going to change. You know how Vince McMahon changes
my thing is
his mind with the weather.
And this is how I feel with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns as well. As far as Sasha and Charlotte goes, those two shouldn't even touch or come anywhere near each other again until they switch alignments.
Yeah.
That's how that's got to be.
Yeah, I don't think I can buy Charlotte as a face though.
You did when she came in. She was a face. She was a PCB.
Didn't like her then, to be honest with you, because she couldn't do it. I mean, she's a Flair. Flairs are always better when they're heels. Granted, she's had a much better career than David ever did. But yeah, I think Charlotte should stay heel long term. I think I know where they're going with this. Obviously, things can change. I would imagine Bayley's probably going to be champion before long, even if it's just temporary, like this last reign with Sasha has been. Wouldn't shock me if Sasha did turn heel between now and WrestleMania. But I think I know where they're going with the women's title picture right now, and I think Charlotte being the flag bearer, at least for right now, is the best thing for the division on Raw.
Yeah, I think overall the feud was really damaging to Sasha. I mean, they have major damage control to do with her, and maybe this starts with Nia Jax. She defeats the monster, but I mean, honestly, in order for him to make a rebound, she's gonna have to make John Cena tap or something.
She's gonna have to go back in time and defeat the Undertaker's undefeated streak.
Yes, so she's gonna need something big in order to reestablish credibility because she's lost way too many times, and I feel like that even diminishes Charlotte's reigns. I don't know how many times she's been champion, but they've been for like
You know what I think it is, because this actually just remembered. What Culture released a list of what WWE superstars get paid.
Yeah.
You want to know how much Sasha Banks is getting paid right now with her current contract?
How much?
$150,000 a year.
What is that? Do you know what Charlotte's getting?
Charlotte, I don't know what Charlotte's getting, but she was definitely one of the low ends of all of the superstars, which I think may be an example of why they're booking her to lose, because her contract isn't worth much.
Yeah.
So I obviously, apples to oranges kind of thing right there, but that just literally just clicked in my head, and I thought, maybe.
So Sasha's making more than Charlotte?
I think Charlotte's making more.
Okay, just because
that
would make sense.
I think Charlotte's making a lot more.
I don't
think it's in the I don't think it's in the seven figures, but it's definitely six. And her being Ric Flair's daughter definitely helps in that respect.
Yeah,
I know they all get a raise before they get to the main roster. We saw that on Breaking Ground. If you guys have followed that show,
yeah.
But I do think I remember seeing that as well, and I thought, wow, Sasha's getting paid kind of low when I saw that.
Yeah, Sasha is definitely on the low end.
Charlotte gets more, but it's not by very much.
No, I think Charlotte is more around the 400,000 range.
Yeah.
So maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. I'm not a financial expert. If I wasn't, I wouldn't.
It also depends on how many years they sign their contracts for, too. So you never know.
So who knows?
I've just never understood the whole. These people are your products, and you want people to buy your product. But if once you damage one of them beyond repair, then it's
buy a new toy. That's essentially how WWE is. Once you damage one toy, you just toss it out and do another one. I mean, keep in mind, primetime players. That's a perfect example of it. They had something going right now, and then AEW was the broken toy, and they just kind of tossed the whole tag team aside. Darren Young right now and Bo Dallas, they had momentum going in, and then as soon as they started accumulating losses, you never saw them again. The Nexus.
Darren Young didn't really get that many losses. I don't mean to cut you off. He didn't really get that many losses. It's not just since he it's been the Great Again character.
Yep.
Yeah.
He just hasn't been used at all.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, I forgot about him.
Monday night was the first time I saw Bo Dallas in months. So, and going with that, the Nexus. Did anyone really survive the collapse of the Nexus after that SummerSlam match?
Daniel Bryan. Well, he wasn't.
He wasn't on the Nexus.
He wasn't in the team anymore. So
he jumped ship. We'll tie in one of the Raw highlights to this, just because it kind of ties in too much. We saw Bayley has been named number one contender for the WWE Raw Women's Championship. With the result of Sasha Banks' feud, what should we expect from the Charlotte-Bayley series?
They're going to stretch this out somehow, some way, all the way to WrestleMania. They're probably going to have their first match at the Rumble, which is going to end in either Charlotte. My prediction. Charlotte's going to wind up winning by some hook or crook,
Shenanigans.
Or it's going to be she's going to take the count out or something's going to happen. And clearly Dana Brooke's back with Charlotte because we hadn't seen Dana Brooke in
I know.
a very long time. So now we're going to have her integrated in there somehow and probably have Bayley beat her on a weekly basis leading up to her match with Charlotte because they're going to stretch this out to Mania.
Are we culminating in a Bayley?
Yeah, it'll probably happen at WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's most likely going to happen to either her or Banks again, and I don't see damaged goods at this point in the eyes of the fans. I'm going to tail off for just a quick second since we're talking about Bayley. Way to kill a heartwarming moment backstage WWE with the whole Bayley Bear looking like Dusty thing between Goldust and R-Truth and the club.
That was totally pointless.
If you were going to create cheap heat like that, fine. Wait until the match. Don't do that immediately after the Bear. Because I remember, getting teary-eyed watching that. Mm-hmm. And the club just comes in, calls them nerds because that's the best insult for the most dominant tag team in New Japan history to fucking say. And rips the head off the Dusty Bear. Fuck you guys. Just basically fuck you for, taking one of the best moments you guys have ever produced and turning it into one of the worst in just a matter of 30 seconds. But back to Bayley. I was concerned that she was going to get lost in the shuffle when she made her main roster debut. I'm glad to see that she's at least in the attempt of being pushed to a possible championship run. It's most likely, in my opinion, going to be another triple threat or maybe even a fatal four-way at WrestleMania for the Raw Women's title. I think the SmackDown Women's title is going to be regaled to the pre-show, just based on the SmackDown roster right now. But it will definitely be a big match, similar to what we saw at WrestleMania 32. Bayley's most likely going to come out on top, but as of right now, they still have booking problems when it comes to the women's division right now. The storylines, you have a hard time to compel yourself to watch. Bayley's cute. Nia Jax is, the Braun Strowman of the division, essentially. I also noticed that when they zoomed directly into Nia Jax's face when she was walking down the ramp, I almost thought it was Chyna for a second. Simply because she looks exactly like Chyna when you just zoom into her face. Hopefully they're bringing up some new stars. We saw that new girl that they were interviewing ringside during Nia Jax's entrance, which was weird.
That was some random jobber. Yeah. We don't even know who that is. Luke would know. Who was that?
On there it was Scarlett. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
some throwaway name or something. That's just.
I didn't look it up to see who she was. I had never seen her before.
Yeah, so she we'll probably never see her again.
All right, but still, an interview during a ring entrance was weird. Having the interview with Neville after on the ramp after destroying Spawn was weird.
With the immediate post match interviews, and then they really need to stop these stupid crowd shots.
They need to. Oh yeah, that's getting worse because it makes the show seem like it's taped. They need to fire every backstage announcer that's not named Renee Young at this point, and I don't even like Renee Young that much.
Casey, you don't like anybody.
I don't. Hashtag Casey hates everything. Bayley. If I was a betting man, Bayley would probably be my champion come WrestleMania time, but it's going to take at least until WrestleMania for me to care. Yeah, that's where I'm getting at with all this. The way they've booked Sasha and Charlotte, even though I'm glad Charlotte's the champion right now because I think that's the best thing for the division as a whole. I just can't get myself invested into it. It's the same as the Divas back in the day, didn't care. Same as the Cruiserweights right now. I want to care, but can't. They're doing a lot of good things with these women wrestlers right now, but their storylines are just, catty little bitches who just can't, see eye to eye on anything, so they just, have slap fights. That's essentially all it's been since this quote-unquote revolution started, and it just... I hope it gets fixed. I hope the writing, steps it up, and that going from Royal Rumble to WrestleMania when they put that giant ass WrestleMania sign on the in the crowd, will definitely remind everyone, you need to focus long term here. So here's hoping, but right now I just can't be bothered to care.